If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donahue and Sonia Mansfield, talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We are the podcast that talks about creeps from the past to the present. We have super present day creep today because we did an old-timey historical creepage last week. This week we're talking about somebody new. But just so you know, we're always looking for suggestions for creeps, and then we always end the show with somebody who is not a creep. And I think our not a creep this week is pretty appropriate for the person we're talking about today.
Death. Most death.
But we're always looking for suggestions for creeps and for non-creeps. So there's many places you can reach out to us, starting with Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page like everybody does, but here's the deal. That's where people go to complain about our language. This is your warning. We are adults that use salty language in our program. We will not be censored. We will not be shamed. You can't shame us. We're in our 50s, y'all. We can't.
Shit, fuck, damn.
Right. That's, you can't be like, oh, but I'm disappointed. Yeah, whatever. I'll live with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure thing, Mom.
Anyway, we're very interactive in our private Facebook group. So you type in What a Creep podcast group, and you have to ask to join, because you do have to ask to join, because you have to be somebody that's okay to join with us. So you do have to answer a few questions. One of them is you promise basically to not be an asshole. That would be amazing if you could do that. And like I said, we talk about pop culture, stuff that's happening in the news. There's a little ranting and raving. There's a lot of praise going on for people who are not a creep as well. So it's a nice place to hang out. There are other places you can reach us as well. We're on Threads, Instagram, and Blue Sky at What a Creep Podcast. And we have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And if you would like some stickers, I do have a stack of What a Creep stickers. If you would like one, just give us your address, and wherever you are in the world, I will drop them in the mail for you. Just dare me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sonia, do you want to tell them about the website?
Yeah, go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you want to know about the show, but we're afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. But if you are, you can go there and you can see everything about us. You can open up each of the blog posts for each of our episodes, and you can see our show notes because we source everything we do. We're not making any of this stuff up. And we want to give credit to the people who did the work, the hard work, I should say. So if you're looking for a deeper dive on any of our creeps, fabulous place to start. We also have a link to our merch shop where you can get t-shirts and tote bags and face masks and pillows and all these things. And we were just talking off mic about some other things that I can add to the merch shop. So I will be doing that. And we also have a link to our Patreon, which has lots of good stuff. Margot, tell them about that.
Patreon, Patreon. We are on season 29 right now. We usually do about 10 to a dozen episodes for every season. Our first 9 seasons are on our Patreon wall. I want to thank Lay, Molly, and Carolyn for signing up for Patreon recently.
Thanks.
We really appreciate it. And for another Lay that also signed up, I know it's Leigh, but it was 2 different people. She wanted to know if we covered the Doors on Dorking Out. That's another show we work on. I want to say this before I forget. Yes, we did cover the Doors because I was an extra in the Doors.
That's right.
So
go to that episode. It's a good one.
It's a real fun one. Anyway, so we have our first 9 seasons there. And then we also we put out 2 bonus episodes a month. We've got 2, we're planning them for next week and the week after. We're going to get them out to y'all. And it's Sonia and I, we just shoot the shit. We just talk about things that are happening in the news, pop culture, politics, sports, whatever. whatever we feel like
Yeah.
talking about. We get a little salty. And the best part is you can see our pusses because we use video. Well, we record it on Zoom and you can see what we look like.
Pusses.
Yes. So if that's your jam, that's a thing to do. Sign up. There you go.
Yeah.
Also, you can sign up for free because occasionally we post things there that are free, like links for stuff that we talked about in the show and things like that. So anyway.
Yes. And I think we're going to start offering the ad-free version of this show.
Thank you,
as
Sonia.
well.
Thank you. Yes, we will put out an ad-free version of this show. So we understand that some people, they don't like all the ads. We get it. I get annoyed
I get
too.
it.
I listen to podcasts too. I don't sign up for everyone's
And I
Patreon.
have
And I will hit that forward button.
Ones.
Yeah,
Yep,
and I have the ones that I
have
love that
certain
that I invest in, and then there's ones that I'm like, I'll put up with the annoyance, right?
Yes.
We have a couple of very affordable options. We are not expensive, but we will drop an ad-free version every week of this show, of the
And
current
it just helps
episode.
us pay for the sources.
And for the, putting the show together, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So thank you all for doing that. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But another way you can help us is leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe. Ask for a sticker. Put it on your laptop. Go to the coffee shop. Look cool with your mocha, whatever. Anyway, I think that's everything, Sonia.
I think so.
All right. So who are we talking about today? Who's our creep this week?
Okay. We're going to be talking about Dave Portnoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sources for this episode, y'all. Business Insider, Daily Dot, Daily Mail. Sometimes they get it right. Deadspin, Eater. That's right. Eater. The Guardian, Huffington Post, Media Matters, NBC News, NPR, Political Research Politics. That's a good one. And of course, our good friends at Wikipedia.
I can say without question that Business Insider is going to be salty because I know about that particular.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I actually just finally subscribed to Business Insider. So again, thanks for the Patreon.
Yes, it helps pay for that.
Yes. So thank you. Dave Portnoy is the founder of Barstool Sports, which is apparently a website that publishes sports journalism, quote unquote, and pop culture content. I say apparently because I've never been there because I don't want to give it any clicks, but I assume it's, advertised between erectile dysfunction ads and light beer commercials. Media Matters describes Barstool Sports as and this is a quote, a cesspool of bigotry, basking in the backlash against political correctness. Under the pretense of sharing funny videos and embracing a boys will be boys mentality, Barstool has successfully normalized a culture of harassment, misogyny, and rampant misinformation.
So they're not fans.
Not fans.
Okay.
On his website, on his podcasts, on the shows that they make.
And they're
on
all
the
over
website.
social media, by the way, like on TikTok and Instagram, everything. They're always all over it. Yeah.
Yes. Portnoy shares his garbage takes on politics, tells his hilarious rape jokes, and drops the N-bomb, among other things. He regularly appears on Tucker Carlson's show, quote-unquote show.
Have we covered Tucker?
No, but it's probably getting time.
It's going to be time soon, yeah.
Yeah. He's also been accused of sexual assault multiple times and filming women without their consent. This dude sucks. And I am worried that I'm covering him too early, like Elon Musk. But I think it's time to talk about members of the manosphere. And I think this is a good place to start. This guy is a creep. So we're going to start like we always do at the beginning. David Scott Portnoy was born March 22nd, 1977 in Swampscott, Massachusetts. He's a swamp creature, y'all.
Wow.
The son of Michael, a lawyer, and his mother is Linda, a high school teacher. He went to high school there in Swampscott.
He's Gen Xer.
Yep. Graduated from the University of Michigan with a degree in education, surprisingly. And then while he was there, he founded like a gambling website called thegamblingman.com. And he would publish his like sports betting picks.
Okay.
Yeah. After college, he really pulled himself up by his bootstraps and a $25,000 loan he got from his parents and founded Barstool Sports in 2003. It started as a 4-page free newspaper that had his like betting tips and like rambling sports rants, basically. And he would go out every day and he would hand it out to Boston area commuters. That was his thing.
Okay.
Eventually, he wanted to get more attention, so he started hiring like young local models in skimpy outfits, very man show coded,
Sure.
to hand out.
Very Hooters.
Yes. One of them was a woman named Renee, who eventually became his wife, but they separated in 2017. I wonder why. I hope she gets half his shit. By 2007, Barstool took it online. They really ramped up their like kind of outrage content, their like political correctness.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Outrage, basically, which we all know is really code for, I want to say garbage shit.
I want to use the R word.
Yes.
Why
Yes,
can't I?
I want to use the R word. I want to say the N word. I want to say racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic shit without consequences. That's what it means. The website is all about bro culture, which I was like, just to be clear, I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's a culture of machismo, but sometimes also has a darker hyper-masculinity that includes binge drinking, sexism, and rape culture.
Ugh.
Cool stuff.
Ugh.
I know. It's icky, y'all. From 2006 to 2010, the site had like 100,000 monthly visitors. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And then it grew to like 1.4 million, which is a ton.
Mm-hmm.
By 2019, they started to have, it was like 66 million unique monthly visitors across all their platforms.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And most of them are like college age Americans, mostly white, mostly men.
Yeah.
So it should be a surprise to no one that Portnoy voted for Trump, and his Barstool Sports and what he likes to talk about, Barstool conservatism, quote unquote, along with manosphere pricks like Joe Rogan, they helped Trump get elected. They preach misinformation and misogyny, and then they push Trump on these people, and they're like, yes, I'm a dude. I'm a real man. I'm going to vote for Trump, right? So the company itself is very strategic in how it pushes out its content. It goes after college students, again, particularly fraternities.
Yep.
And pushes out that misogynistic crap. It is a central tool for the American right in this country. It upholds this like white male, white supremacist, let boys be boys shit. And he himself has tweeted stuff like this, that he's curating a safe space to let boys be boys. He says it himself, as long as nobody cracks and screams, safe space. But he himself is creating a safe space.
Yeah, you are creating a safe space
people.
for yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yes. So Barstool has a website, the podcast, the shows that he puts out, and again, it's the kind of content that makes women cover their drinks when you're around. It's real Cybertruck owner energy. You know what I'm saying? So I have a little section here I've called What a Creep. So it's just a list of shit he's done and said. So, one of the first times he popped up on my radar, this was like 2010. He wrote a blog post after a man in Australia was acquitted of raping a 24-year-old woman, claiming that it was because she was wearing skinny jeans. Do you remember the story?
No, I don't.
It's fucked up. Like, it was basically like she was dressed like a slut. She was asking for it. And this man was acquitted. And then here comes Portnoy, who wants to get in on that. And he said, even though I never condone rape, if you're a size 6 and wearing skinny jeans, you kind of deserve to be raped, right?
Oh my God.
It's
a fucking loser.
And you know he thinks he's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm sure his friends tell him how funny he is all the time because he picks up the checks. Because he's Dave Portnoy and he's famous and he picks up the checks and chicks hang around him. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the website has been accused of like stealing and publishing content without permission. A comedian named Mel Bradow actually she filed a lawsuit to get them to like take down some of her videos that they were publishing without giving her credit.
Or probably not paying her either. Yeah.
Correct. They did not pay her.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, they did reach out to her and they were like, we'll give you a gift card to our like merch shop. And she's like, fuck you.
Fuck you. No.
Like,
write your own
take
shit.
it down. And then they proceeded to like release their fans on her and she just received like full on harassment from everybody. Portnoy has, defended rapists like Harvey Weinstein, saying that it's his company and he's got to get laid. And these women are just making a trade, basically, is what he's saying.
Jesus.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Yeah, he's real gross. He has said that 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who, as everyone remembers, like would take a knee during the national anthem, which apparently is the worst thing you can do in football. When that
apparently
happened,
being against police brutality is wrong.
Yes,
it hurts my brain to think about it.
It absolutely hurts my brain. He went on one of his garbage shows and like just said that he thinks Colin Kaepernick looks like bin Laden and that he's probably a terrorist and all of this shit. And then proceeded to like tweet out pictures of Colin Kaepernick next to Osama bin Laden saying that he's, basically saying like he's Muslim and he's this and he's that. By the way, Colin Kaepernick is black and not a terrorist.
No. He's biracial.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like from Northern California and he's like a hippie.
Yes.
And he's just, he's a peacenik.
Yeah, he just,
oh my God,
like, hey,
can you
maybe
imagine?
We don't be, yes, it's so stupid. Some of the things he does too remind me of what like Howard Stern used to do back in the day, where it's like he would bring on like exotic dancers and like say all these things to them or whatever. Like Howard has like grown up over the years.
I've been a fan of Howard for a very long time, but yes, I have seen, he used to like have women come in the studio and he would weigh them. He had a whole thing like, are you really that? Are you hot or not? And they would all these ugly losers that are on his show, and they would pick on these women for every little thing. Yeah, it
was so awful.
It's so gross.
So this reminded me of that was he brought on one of his she was like a 20-year-old employee and he brought her on. He said God knows what to her. And then he said, you've got about 5 more years that you can be in front of the camera because after that you'll be 25 and you'll make people throw up. Because then you're old, right? You're all washed up by 25. Take that, chicks.
What is wrong with you that you have to say things like that to people? And by the way, look at Dave Portnoy, not an attractive guy.
He's a troll. Yeah. Yeah, he's he's an insecure loser, and we're going to get into some of
Exactly.
his insecurity in a little bit. One of the things he super hates is female reporters who are just doing their job. Man, he fucking hates that. So he got an interview request for a Daily Beast article that was coming out about the culture of harassment towards women on those sites. And he didn't reply, but instead he doxed the article's author, the reporter.
That's his thing. He doxes. So yeah.
Yes.
Ready.
And then he releases his they're called stoolies. The Barstool
Stoogies?
fans.
The Stooges?
The Stoogies. The stoolies. And he releases the stoolies. It's releasing the Kraken on these people, basically. Another one was an ESPN sportscaster named Sam Ponder. And he would constantly tweet at her, telling her to stop posting pictures of her quote unquote ugly kid, saying that she needs to sex it up and be slutty while she's hosting the pregame shows, things like just garbage shit. And if she speaks up, then all the stoolies.
And people, and they say, well, don't say anything. And it's like, fine. But then at the same time, I'm being attacked. It's like some people take that as an invitation, like, oh, I'm allowed to do that to people. I can just insult them. And there's nothing wrong with it. What the fuck is wrong with you, Dave?
I know, this guy sucks. In 2017, the sportscaster named Ilaika Sadeshi, I think is how you pronounce it. She worked as a sportscaster, and they wanted to hire her at Barstool Sports. So they sent her a contract, and she shared what was in the contract. And it says, I understand and acknowledge that as part of my job, I may be exposed to speech and conduct that explicitly relates to sex, sexual orientation, gender, national origin, religion, disability, and age. I expressly agree and represent that I do not object to being exposed to such speech and conduct. It's basically like, we're going to harass you and other people, and you can't do anything about it.
You can't complain because it's in your contract.
Yes. She didn't take the job.
No.
But what a surprise. And then he proceeded to talk so much shit about her that it started a whole harassment campaign from the fucking stoolies. And they've done this to multiple female journalists, and they do it to anyone who disagrees with him. They send death threats, they dox, the online harassment, and they target their families, their friends, and their workplaces. He even has an employee that he hired expressly for the purpose of harassing people.
I can't imagine.
He's a fucking snowflake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Just write good material. Just put out good content.
No, what? I should be able to say whatever garbage things I want, and you have to laugh and pretend it's funny.
Right. And if you're not laughing, then you're the snowflake, and you're the one that's the problem. But he's the snowflake.
Yes.
Somebody can't just disagree with what you do.
No.
God forbid.
How dare you?
I know. Jesus Christ.
Talk about a safe space.
We get people who tell us all the time, like, I don't like this or that. And we're just like, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You do you, boo.
You do you, boo. We wish you well.
Yeah. Unless you're on the Patreon page, this shit is free.
Yeah.
Move along.
Move along, little doggy.
Yes.
You're making a choice right now, and it's not a good one.
And guess what? Not everything is for everybody either.
No.
If they're if
the
you
narcissism of looking at the world like everything should be appealing to me all the time.
Yes.
The music, the food, the people around me, the environment, everything should be appealing to me all the time. And if it's not, then it's a fucking disgrace and I have to cry about it. But I'm a man, which means I'm very strong. But no, you're
so strong.
You're a weenie.
Yeah. He pretends that there's this no politics policy.
Oh, bullshit.
At Barstool, but it's total bullshit. So in 2018, there's the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, and two people who wrote for Barstool Sports wrote pieces that were very very sympathetic to Christine Blasey Ford, who was the person who accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault because he did it. And they were like, no, we have a no politics policy and took that shit down, even though they kept up other posts that said great things about Brett Kavanaugh. Like, it's only applied to those posts,
Right.
you know. They released like a documentary that they made, so it's super accurate and great about how great it is to be at Barstool Sports. And there's this video of like Portnoy, like with a sex doll. He's like wearing a tuxedo and he's like got a sex doll and he's like sticking his fingers in it and declaring himself the finger king. And I'm like, imagine willingly putting that shit out into the world. Like, how embarrassing.
And also imagine admiring a guy like that. Like, just what a
Right?
bozo you are. I understand. I don't agree with, but I understand the people that ignore it, that just are like, I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
tip my toe in the waters of that shittiness. But the
Yes.
people that think that he's really funny and clever, and I mean, just
So embarrassing.
ugh. I'm embarrassed for you if you think that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. He, of course, on one of his shows, like dropped the N-bomb and nothing came of it. He declared himself, that he just can't be canceled. He's a hero. He didn't lose any advertisers. People like Dunkin' Donuts and Coors were still like, yeah. He partnered with Walmart on a line of frozen pizzas.
Oh God, those
Apparently.
fucking pizzas. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about his pizza stuff here in a
Yeah.
little bit. It's they didn't even care. They were like, "Whatever, man. Just sure, drop the N-bomb. No repercussions." Um, there's another thing that they host at colleges because they host like a lot of events at colleges, and one of them is called blackout parties. You'll never guess what they did at these things. They
I'm gonna say excessive drinking.
Yes, it was about binge drinking excessively. And he wrote a blog post about it and he said, "But just to make friends with the feminists, I'd like to reiterate that we don't condone rape of any kind at our blackout parties. However, if a chick passes out, that's a gray area though."
Oh God.
By the way, this is like after the Brock Turner conviction.
Right.
Like, it's just, again, I know he thinks he's hilarious.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
He thinks he's
Yeah.
naughty.
Yeah, he's being naughty.
He thinks he's a naughty boy. Yes.
Yeah. Ain't I a stinker?
Yeah.
When he's been called out for being like, you're
Shitty
anti-woman.
human. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not anti-woman. He's like, I gave 2 girls their own radio show. I have hired girl after girl. They say it's a great place to work, to which I say, girls?
Yeah.
You're referring to them as girls?
Yeah.
They are grown women, girls. Like,
They're also pick-me girls. Let's be clear.
total pick-me girls. I didn't look it up, but one of the shows that was on Barstool Sports, and I think they still are, is The Chicks in the Office. And I'm like, they're on Barstool Sports. Hard fucking pass.
Yeah.
Not interested. Not interested.
It's what show is that? It's not the Office podcast.
No. That's a different one.
Okay, I was just going to
There's
say
one-
I can't picture that.
No, there's a show that's just called The Chicks in the Office. And I think it's just 2 women who work at Barstool Sports, maybe.
Fascinating.
I don't know. But they get interviews with like people who get kicked off Love Island. I love Love Island USA. I would love to listen to those interviews, but then I see it's on their show and I'm like, hard fucking pass. Like, no, thank you. Just a couple of pick-me's. So no, thank you. Actually, I'm going to skip over this part and go right to his pizza reviews.
Yeah.
I'll come back to the other stuff. So he does a video series that's called One Bite Pizza Reviews. It's really popular. It's on a YouTube channel. He's got a YouTube channel for it. It's got over 1 million subscribers. And it's just his thoughts on various pizza. And some for a while, like most people were like, well, this is cool. Like he's just going to, they're not chain pizzerias.
No,
These
they're
are like
mom and pop places, right? So it's
Yeah.
like giving, and actually in that case, I'm like, yeah, that's a nice thing. That's a nice thing you're doing, right?
Yeah. But so and then he does this like pizza fest, like a one bite pizza fest. But he has said and done all these horrible things. And I'm going to list a little bit more of them here in a second. So other people have come out and they're like, why are we doing business with this guy?
Right.
Like, and so one of them is this food writer, Jake Kenji Lopez Alt. And then another one is Joe Rosenthal. And they've actually tried to fight back against him hosting something like this. And like, the food community needs to like separate from him. They actually created a website that just tracks all the allegations against him. I linked to it in the show notes if you're interested. I think it's worth noting. But then when they came out and tried to push back against his pizza fests, he basically came out and he threatened to talk shit against any pizzeria that pulled out of the pizza fest and release his fucking stoolies on them. And,
so they're stuck.
He did. Yeah, he threatened them, basically. He said, now, don't get me wrong. I'm not worried about places because I have close relationships with almost all of them and they love me. But imagine if I didn't. It's a threat. He's threatening.
Yeah.
So, he's
of course he loves Trump. He's the same thing. He's cut from the same cloth. Yeah.
Yes. And the reason these writers were like, we should be pushing back against this and why are these pizzerias aligning themselves with him is because Business Insider did did 2 stories on him, and he interviewed multiple women who accused him of sexual assault. So I will say their stories are very similar. Like they usually meet him through Instagram DMs. Either he DMs them or they DM him because he's famous.
No, he's famous and some people like douchebags. I mean, what can I say? Some women are attracted to that. I know.
Yeah. Well, and like he's very popular on college campuses. And like when he's like doing a tour or whatever, like colleges will reach out to him to try to get him to come to their parties, and they host parties on college campuses. So a lot of these women they're young. They're like in college.
Well, once you turn 25, Sonia, he throws up. He can't handle it.
Yeah, you can't. So, they meet through DMs. They agree to meet up. They even agree to have sex with him. But what they don't consent to is like rough sex or being choked, which is one of his things. He likes to choke. And then being filmed. He films them without their consent. And then once he captures them on film, they're afraid to say anything.
Right, because it can be used as blackmail.
Yes, it can be, we're going to post this shit online. They're worried about revenge porn. And also, like, they're afraid of his fans. Like, they had, so Business Insider has their one story, comes out in November 2021.
And he freaked the fuck out.
He did. He did freak the fuck out.
He had a meltdown about it. Yeah.
Yes. And he claims that it's just a hit piece. All of this was consensual, and maybe it started that way.
Right. But you have to consent to everything.
Yes.
Yes. You don't just get now I can do whatever the fuck I want. No. You have to. It has to be consent the whole time.
Yes, exactly. And so he claimed that, he was just like, this is a hit piece. They were looking to do anything they can to like, these women just want a payday, all the usual shit.
They don't get paid to do interviews.
Yeah,
by
I'm
the
like,
way, that's not.
Yes.
Business Insider, I'm absolutely sure, does not pay for interviews. None of them.
No. So that story comes out. He freaks the fuck out. A couple months later, they do a follow-up because more women were like, yep, which happens all the time. This has happened in so many of our creeps. Like more women are like, oh, it's not just me. And so 3 more women come out, and one of the women was like, he fractured my rib. He's so rough and mean and choking and all of this. All of these women talked about the, mental health toll that
Yeah, of
it took,
course.
and knowing that he has, videos that they didn't
Ugh.
agree to and all of that. And all of these women, they're all, 19 to 24.
Right.
Yeah, they're young,
You're
and
very trusting when you're young.
they're yes,
And when
you
you're
are.
around somebody that's famous, you for some reason think, well, that can't happen to me. This person wouldn't do that.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but they still, were brave and talked to Business Insider, and they did these stories, and they all tell again, very similar stories, and they are all afraid to come out. They didn't use their real names, things like that because of his fan base. 4 women also claimed that he has sent them unsolicited videos of him having sex with other women.
Oh
So
God. What a
he is
pig.
sharing these videos with people. Um, some folks came out to support him during all of this. Of course, all
Of
of his gross
course.
stoolies. Some employees, even his ex-wife came out and was like,
Ex-wife.
he's a nice man. He would never do these things. But others rightfully pointed out that it's like, why are we pretending that a 44-year-old man that preys on 19-year-old girls right out of high school for traumatic sexual exploits is
Yeah.
normal?
Yeah.
One of them was this journalist, Sophie Ross, tweeted that out. They claim these girls are lying. Why would they be lying?
Right.
And also, some of them they're just teenagers, and he's 44.
Right.
It's really fucked up. He was like, I'm suing. And it went to a federal judge, and the judge was like, dismissed. He had no case at all. He filed an appeal, and then he had to drop his appeal in 2023 because there's nothing for him to appeal because Business Insider has screenshots. They have proof.
It's a magazine that is it is what it sounds like. It's about business. It's a very serious publication. It's an expensive subscription to get, and they cover really big stories and very big companies. They have their reputation to think about as well. They have lawyers at the ready for everything. Yes. I'm sure they have all kinds of screenshots and emails,
timelines, screenshots, emails.
They got it all.
Yeah. This is a story that is absolutely vetted by lawyers. And if similar to the stories that have run in the New York Times or in Vanity Fair,
right?
They don't fuck around.
It's like Justin,
with this stuff.
What's his nuts, who was suing Blake Lively, and he was trying to sue the New York Times for $400 million, and it was and LOL, that just got thrown out of court, and people are shocked. I'm like, no, this.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
It's the New York Times. They're used to this. They should put out more stuff that I think they could be even more, righteous. But
truth that.
But they also have lawyers upon lawyers upon lawyers, and they also just have editors and an advisory board. They have all kinds of things to keep it in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to publish something like that for somebody that popular and that viral that it can be instantly, they're not going to do that if they don't have all their ducks in a row, so to speak.
Exactly. So occasionally our creeps do good things, and I'll point them out.
Yes, we do point that out.
I do want to point out that in 2020, he donated like $500,000 to something called the Barstool Fund, and it was money that went to small businesses that were affected by COVID.
Okay.
And then they did a big campaign, and they raised like $39 million for like almost 350 businesses. I'm like, that's pretty dope. But then I did a little bit more digging. At the same time, he's on his shitty show saying that, the coronavirus isn't really a thing. It's just the cold.
Right.
He called Dr. Fauci one of the greatest criminals in our civilization.
Oh, God.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. He called the Ebola virus a fraud, claims that the death toll's exaggerated.
He
all
knows.
that shit.
Dave knows when he's out there eating pizza and hassling girls.
He's doing his own research.
He's also
man.
doing research, right? He knows.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck this guy.
Bullshit.
But also one more good thing he did. He did donate almost $300,000 to something called the Lifeline Animal Project. It's an animal shelter in Atlanta, Georgia. And, he adopted a dog from there. And so he's giving money back to it's like, I respect that.
I respect that.
You're still a dick.
Yeah, no, we love dogs. We love animals. We're big animal lovers here. And but you still suck.
I don't want the stoolies
coming
coming and being like, he does good things. Like, fuck off. Like, we know he does good things, but that doesn't mean he gets excused for the bad things.
What's funny is that the stoolies came out when that article of Business Insider. And I remember just because all of a sudden my timeline on Twitter was like all these people buying this shitty frozen pizza and going like, I bought 10 of these to show how much I love you. And then so he's retweeting it, and then it just gets everywhere. And then I look this stuff up, and I'm a New Yorker. I'm a total snob. Like, frozen pizza is never good. It's just not. It's the last, it's the last resort when you're really high. But
no, the only kind you want is like, if you need a frozen pizza, it's got to be that Stouffer's French bread pizza.
That's the worst.
That's the only one. The rest of them, I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. But that one's only if you've been drinking.
Yeah. It's so dry. That's the thing with the Stouffer's thing. Like, I like a thinner crust.
Right. I mean, I'd prefer pizza rolls over that, but
pizza rolls are fun.
They're delicious. Yeah. I like junk food, so I get it.
Same. No, exactly.
Yeah, but his stoolies are whatever. So let's talk about some of the stuff that's been going on more recently.
Yes,
and
please.
We had some fun with this in our promotional image for this show. He is an insecure loser who who has a lot of insecurity about his height. So if you Google Dave Portnoy height, it says 5'10", LOL. But then you can also you could go to the images and see, and there's all these pictures of him posing with people, and he's standing on his tippy toes. Like a ballerina, y'all. Like a ballerina.
He literally can't help himself. He can't just tell people, please step closer in. Just so it's like waist up. No, he can't do that. So he then has to, he can't help himself. And it is the most ridiculous thing.
Point. Yeah. He is on point. He's wearing his ballet shoes, and he is like, ding, like up on his tippy toes.
He's like Billy Elliot.
Yes, exactly. It is hilarious. And you could go down
so many.
Yeah. I'm like, look, I love a short king. I've dated men who are shorter than me. I don't give a fuck. But like the fact that he's insecure about it makes me go, ha ha.
Because if he really were 5'10", he would use that as, I mean, he would use it against people. Like, you know what I mean? If he actually happened to be tall, he would use that as
There's
a weapon.
A picture of him standing next to a horse jockey, and they're about the same height. So y'all, I don't know if you know this, but they are That means he's probably 5'5".
He looks about 5'5", 5'6". That's just my opinion. I don't know the man, thankfully.
It's about how tall I am. Again, I'm like, no judgment, man, but like, don't be a little bitch about it. Most recently, because of this rumor, he went on like Fox News, and he's like walking with like Steve Ducey from Fox, the Dooch, and
that was Ducey.
Ducey, whatever.
His son is in the White House press pool. and was
Oh, yeah,
such
yeah.
a loser. Yeah.
They're such losers. Um, so Steve is like, well, I'm 6 feet, so let's measure. And they stand back to back and like they are like almost even. And they're like, see, we settled that. Well, it's like, yeah, but you're not showing his feet.
He could be wearing lifts.
They're not. I was like, well, also, they're not showing the feet. Bitch is on his tippy toes. He's on his tippy toes. I don't buy it. Sorry, don't buy it.
Did you see the picture, by the way? It's been in the news this past week. I was talking about important things. The Outsiders. So Rob Lowe, there's a story that goes around Rob Lowe when he does the conventions and when people have him sign stuff. One of the pictures they have him sign is of the Outsiders. And there's one in particular shot of a group of outsiders, and it's an above shot, like shooting down at them.
Yeah.
And Patrick Swayze, has his arms folded across his chest, and he's standing on a pile of bricks. Like Tom Cruise isn't, nobody else is, but he is. And so Rob Lowe, because he's kind of a shit, he says he takes the pen and he circles that little pile, and then he writes, and he always mentions to the person, he was standing on a pile of bricks in this photo. I don't know why that made me.
Swayze was?
Patrick Swayze was.
Is Patrick Swayze, is he short?
I think he's maybe like 5'8".
Okay.
I don't think he's super tall.
That still makes him like a full foot taller than Tom Cruise.
Exactly. But yeah, it was one of those shots. Like it I don't know. It just looked kind of fun. It does look fun when you look at it. Like, why is he standing on bricks and everybody else is on the grass? Like,
it is hilarious to me that there is like a certain segment of men that are like super
insecure,
freaked out about height.
Yeah,
like and some of it is like, well, they're like, women won't go out with women or that's not true. It's just not true. And I mean, there might be women who have a preference where they're like, I like
really
a guy
tall women. It's you have your own mental things going on. Like you're told you're a big girl when you're tall.
Yeah,
and so that could be
it's interesting because dudes have their preferences too. Like
people are allowed to have their preferences.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I like blondes or something. It's like, okay, that's good for you, man. Good for you. But there's a certain segment of men that are like, no, all men should be your type, no matter what, basically.
Right.
You're not allowed to have preferences.
You're not allowed to be shallow. I could be shallow, but you can't be shallow. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. He's just such a loser. So the other reason I decided to talk about him right now, not because of his tippy toes, although that's fun. So thank you for pointing me in that direction, Margot.
I sent her a bunch of screenshots.
Yes. He's one of these assholes who voted for Trump because he feels like Democrats aren't doing enough to kiss his ass, basically. Like,
and they're not, and they won't. And that's what they don't do. But that's what I like about them. They're working.
Yeah. I, gotta love a super privileged white man who's like throwing his vote to Trump because, the election won't impact him either way. He's a
he's rich. Yeah.
Man, he's fine. Yeah. But the Democrats are too woke. That's his thing. They're too woke.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not catering to white men like himself. So he sat down for an interview with NPR because NPR is doing shit like this because they think it'll help them not get defunded by Trump. Dude, they're never going to pick you. Trump is never going to pick you. He's still going to defund you.
Right.
Like,
Steve Inskeep?
So anyway.
Was that Steve Inskeep? Steve Inskeep. Was he the reporter? NPR.
Probably. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I used to listen to NPR a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, it was on their like morning report or whatever. They also interviewed like Steve Bannon. They did.
No, all during Trump's first presidency, they had like once a month they would have somebody, like they'd send somebody out to a coffee shop somewhere to talk Trump. Yeah. And it was infuriating because it was the same thing. Yeah. It was like, they're never going to like you. They're never going to accept you. They're never going to think you're real. They're always going to think you're woke and weak.
Yeah.
And whatever. And and you can't tell them no, because then they're like, oh, but I gotta try to reach everybody. You're telling me no, that's my challenge. Challenge accepted.
Right.
I'm going to figure out a way to cover this story that nobody else will. And it's like, no, you won't.
Well, there's a big story going on right now where media's like, why did young men vote for the GOP? Why'd they vote for Trump? How do we win them over? And I was like, the truth is, you're not going to win a lot of them over. They're not going to.
Yeah.
And unless you make them the center of fucking everything, they're not going to vote for you. Like, you need to fuck over women and gay people and trans people and be like, white men, you are the best in the whole world. And then they'll vote for you. So that's why they're doing stories like this. And he's one of the people they're talking to because he's like someone who's in the manosphere. And so they bring him on and he says like that I'm pro-choice. I think people would say I'm not typically a bro. I'm like, you are.
Whatever.
But they think we're MAGA. I would say I'm not. I just don't know. He's like, I don't know that Rogan is either.
Oh,
and it's
whatever.
Like, well, yeah, no. And I'm like, it's easy. Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Did you vote for him? Yes, you did. Okay, then the racism, the sexism, the homophobia, the transphobia,
the sexual
someone
assault.
being a felon. Yeah, the sexual assault. That shit's not a deal breaker for you and you still voted for him, then you're MAGA. Fuck you. You're a huge fucking creep.
Yeah, same
it's
with
that
Brian
easy, dude.
Grazer. Is that his name, Brian Grazer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he was upset that
it's that easy.
Yeah. You suck. You're a shithead.
Yeah. Yeah. So he, Portnoy, he made his support very clear for Trump before the election. He's been disappointed with some of the tariff shit that's happened. I'm so sad.
He lost millions.
He lost so much. He lost $20 million. And I'm like, well, you'd love to see it. Like, I'm so sorry the leopard ate your face.
And he laid off a bunch of people because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he said much of his own frustration with the Democratic Party comes from the sense that men should feel ashamed. The Democratic Party is trying
off.
Yeah, listen, you're going to love this quote. I started a business from scratch
with your parents.
$25,000.
Yeah, your mom and dad, but okay.
And I really didn't get any help.
Except your parents.
Moved home, worked, didn't take a vacation day for 10 years, grinded my ass off to get where it is. And I felt that I should somehow have shame for being a white person who wants to make a lot of money and have a great life. And that really bothered me.
Okay. Explain to me all of these people like George Clooney who, white men that had a lot of chicks in their lives, made a shitload of money, still make a shitload of money, but yet they still have empathy and still can think about other human beings. You can be super fucking rich and still have empathy. And that's the thing that's missing from these people. And that's what makes me fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Get some therapy.
The fact that he says that the Democrats are you see this a lot. They are making us feel shame and making us feel bad for being a white man. And my response to that is, dude, you're a grown ass man.
Yeah. Deal with it.
If you feel ashamed, it's because you did something shameful.
Right.
That's why. The Democrats aren't walking around shaming men. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
They're not. Bill Clinton's a Democrat. I mean, look what he's done.
You're a fucking snowflake.
Yeah.
You need a safe space.
All
the things that you think are
weak
bullshit, you need it yourself. Like, garbage man. And that is our fucking garbage man. This is our creep. Dave
so he's single,
Portnoy.
You're saying, Sonia.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Good job, Sonia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to hear about somebody who's not a creep?
I can't wait.
I've never listened to the podcast Call Me Daddy. Until
I have.
Yeah, I call her daddy, excuse me. I started, when she interviewed Kamala, excuse me, and then I started checking it out more, and I'm like, damn, this chick is cool. Because the whole name is like, But Alexandra Cooper, this made me feel super old. She was born August 21st, 1994. She's 30.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway, because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Yeah.
She's a podcaster and she has a show called Call Her Daddy. It's a comedy show. It's an advice show. It's for women. It's on Spotify. And let me just go to her. She has there's a documentary on Hulu called Call Her Alex, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm normally more prepared, but I have all my stuff in front of me.
You're fine.
She's really interesting. She's a very, very pretty blonde. She's a podcaster. She's very popular. She has millions and millions of downloads. I mean, she has so many. Her podcast has 4.4 million followers on Spotify. It's an unbelievable, growth that she's had. She's from Newton, Pennsylvania. She's the youngest of 3. Her dad was a TV sports producer and her mother is a psychologist. She went to the Pennington School in Mercer County, New Jersey. I'm going to guess that's private school. And then she was enrolled at Boston University. She's super young, y'all. There's just not much backstory I could give.
Yes.
I could say, in 1999, she was really into this, the Spice Girls. But, she was in kindergarten then. So maybe she doesn't even remember that shit. I don't know. I'd love to meet her one time. She was hired by Barstool Sports in 2017. After college, she moved to New York City. She worked in advertising, and she and her roommate, Sophia Franklin, they created the podcast Call Her Daddy. And it was a ribald, naughty, it was a girl's version of a guy's podcast where they talk about sex and dating and sports and things like that. And within a month, they were so popular. She went from 12,000 downloads per episode to 2 million in 2 months. And that's around the time Barstool Sports, for some reason, I don't know how Barstool Sports found them, but Barstool Sports, this is how popular they are. They found them within a month of them starting their show. And then within the next month, they went from 12,000 to 2 million. So that's the power that Barstool Sports has.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. They were making exactly $75,000 a year from this. I'm guessing that they had some incentives put in after that for advertising and stuff. I hope there was. They were there with Barstool Sports for 4 years. And then in 2021, she split with her co-host. They were friends, but they were roommates more than friends. But they had a breakup. I know what that's like. I had a breakup with the podcasters too.
Yeah.
It happens. Friendships break up sometimes. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, I think the co-host did or said something that was not okay. I don't remember what that was, but I feel like there was a reason for the.
Yeah, there always is, but I'm sure, what I would say is it's always there's one that you could point to maybe one thing that somebody said, but that's on the back of so many other grievances that you have with somebody. So many times they said something shitty and you're like, all right, I'm going to ignore that today. I don't want to, because that's a roommate too. Who wants to deal with that shit?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like it was really about contracts, negotiation stuff.
And who contributes more, and who's the funnier one, and who gets the guests, that kind of thing. That shit happens, and it's when women do this, people are like, oh, see, women can't be friends. No, that's bullshit. Men do this all the time too. Men get into fights as well. I mean, this happens. So anyway, my whole point is, she does this for 4 years. She's working for Barstool Sports. And then I'm glad she was, because she originally had the name. So that's why I think she was allowed to keep the name. She took it to Spotify, and then it's just herself. And she made a 3-year exclusive deal with Spotify for $60 million.
Damn.
And she gets 4.4 million she's followers. And these are just some of the stats. This is from Wikipedia. When she has musicians on her show, it's just showing her popularity. When she has musicians on her show, they see dramatic spikes in their streaming numbers on Spotify. So she had Madison Beer on, and it went up 130%. John Legend came on, it went up 200%. John Mayer came on, it went up 350%. Like, she's a really good talker. She's really good. I mean, she's very attractive. She's blonde, she's thin, she's gorgeous. Like, it's easy to want to hate her.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to make her, to, like, diminish what she's done. You have to be really good at what you do if you're getting those kind of numbers. Because it is not easy to be a podcaster. It is not easy to put on a show, to be entertaining to people, to put up with celebrities, to put up with advertisers, to do all that shit. And she does it really well. So I give her flowers. And so she had Kamala on her show, and it was a big deal because she wanted to talk to her because she's pro-choice and she has a female audience. Her audience, I think, is like 95% female. So that's important to her. And of course, she's going to want to have her on the show. And I was impressed with how she handled herself, and I listened occasionally. And anyway, she has this documentary coming out. And she, like I said, she went to Boston University, and she was a soccer player, and soccer was like her passion. It started when she was a kid. It's just where she found herself when she could be on the soccer, field. She loved everything about it. She loved the uniforms.
Yeah.
She loved getting up early. She loved going to the game. She loved like the camaraderie with her friends. She loved like working on it and getting better at it and that kind of thing. And she just super, super loved it. And she was so good at it that she had a scholarship to Boston University. So, which is impressive. Not easy.
Yeah.
It's an East Coast school. It's not easy. And she did really, really well. And that's when she gets there, and I'm going to bring this up right now. She had a coach. Her name was Nancy Feldman. And her big worry was, as an attractive blonde, she gets a lot of attention from men. She was actually happy that, it's a woman that's a coach. Okay.
Yes.
And we do feel more comfortable when we see a woman versus, we just behave differently. It's just less stressful. We think it's going to be less stressful and less whatever. And she says that it didn't take long for this coach to just kind of notice Alex and just sort of always talk about how pretty she was and how great she looked in her uniform and her. How do you do that with those
inappropriate?
You have such slim legs, but you're very powerful. How do you do it? Like, it's just this constant talking about her body, but not in a way a coach should. Or,
right.
They should be like, your muscle groups and what are you eating? Are you getting enough rest? Do you have, or is that throwing your back out of alignment? That kind of thing. She wasn't about that. And she would always try to basically get closer and closer to Alex and trying to get alone with her. She would try to get, she would find when Alex had mononucleosis, there was a few players that had it. And she was obsessed with finding out how Alex got mono, because she was convinced she got it from having sex with somebody. And she would try to ask questions about girls that live on campus and off campus and who has a boyfriend and who's sleeping with somebody, who's gay, who's not gay. Like, she was obsessed with their sex lives and really focused on Alex. And she would do things like she would talk to her and she would place her hand behind her neck and then squeeze really hard. And it's so like inappropriate. Or if they were sitting next to each other, she would put her hand on her thigh. It was really just super inappropriate. And to the point that by the second season, it was really amping up. So this is like 2016. Yeah. So I said before that her mother was a psychologist. And so Alex was talking to her mother, and she has a really good relationship with her parents. This is 2014. So it was 2013 to 2015 that she was playing at the school. Okay. So she starts telling her mother, and her mother writes down everything that Alex tells her, and she writes the date, and she's just everything that Alex, every single thing this woman said that made her uncomfortable. There was times where she wouldn't play Alex because she was mad at her for some reason, and then the team would like be behind, and she would blame Alex. It's so shitty. You're really fucking with someone's life here. She had that kind of power, and she she put up with it for as long as she could. And then she and her parents finally said, we need to meet with Boston University. We need to talk to them, because she was coming on to her senior year. She's like, I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Yeah.
So they go and they meet with Boston University, and basically they sat around, and her mother said, this is a notebook that I have, and I've handwritten notes for all these things that this woman said and done to my daughter. What are you going to do about it? And they brought is BU athletic director Drew Maricello, who's been there since 2014. And they basically said they weren't going to do anything. They said, look, we could set up a thing, we could start the procedures, we could start, having meetings, we could, bring lawyers into this. But the fact is, it's going to take years.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
And they're going to wear you down. And there's nothing we can do. They didn't say, we're going to bring that coach in here. We're going to have a talk with her. They didn't even say, like, don't you worry. We're going to have a talk with her and she's never going to fucking bother you again. If you ever have a problem, you come back to us. That's how you handle the problem. If you're not going to fire Nancy, why does she have a fucking job if she's touching her players like that?
Yes.
Tell me that. Riddle me that, y'all. But they say to her, they don't offer anything like that. So so they say, so what do you want? We can't do that. So what else do you want? And Alex is like, I've spent my whole life working on this. She had. And so she said, well, I want to at least finish out my school. I have a scholarship. I want to finish out my senior year. And they said, fine, you just can't play. So she had to give up the things she loved.
That sucks.
Which just sucks. I mean, it just really
because they didn't want to do the hard thing.
They didn't want to do the hard thing. They didn't want to have the publicity. They did, because they know Boston Globe's going to show up with questions. It's going to be a whole thing. Mm-hmm. And she was willing to put herself out there, but they didn't want to do it. So Boston University has now come out and said, you know what? If you have a problem, you call us. We have systems in place. We have a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment. This is something they just put out. We have a robust system of resources, support, and staff dedicated to student well-being and a thorough reporting process through our Equal Opportunity Office, the university said in a statement obtained by the Boston Globe. We encourage members of our community to report any concerns, and we remain committed to fostering a safe and secure campus environment for all. They don't mention anything about Alex. They don't mention anything. Nancy Feldman left a couple of years ago. So she's no longer there. But one of the coaches that was there, that was one of the people on staff, she's now with Wesleyan University, and she was one of the ones that didn't say anything and didn't, So, I mean, it's, you do everything correctly, right? They did everything correctly. And it could have been, without reporter, you could have done it with little publicity. There's ways of doing things. You give one person the exclusive and that's that, and whatever. I mean, there's ways to do that. I've done crisis PR. I don't understand why they didn't do anything. I mean, like I said, this was less than 10 years ago. I was like, this is 10 years ago they're doing this? Like this is so, if you told me 20 or 30 years ago, absolutely. But but this is how rampant it is, and this is how insidious it is. Like, you're in a situation where you think you should be safe, and you feel bad for her parents having to hear these stories, and they feel bad for her, and they feel helpless, and they don't want her to just quit, because why should she quit? She's she earned that scholarship.
She didn't do anything wrong.
She didn't do anything wrong. Like, why is she the one that has to pay this price? But
right.
Anyway, so That's her. She got married last year to a super handsome guy. You know, of course she did. He loves her.
Very lovely.
Yes.
And he's very supportive. That's the part that when I was watching it, I was like, well, that hit me on a soft spot for some strange reason.
I know, exactly.
I was like, wait, he supports her?
Yeah, he has her back. Can you imagine? He completely has her back. And he's his own, yeah, exactly. He's a producer in Hollywood. He's got his own things going on. I mean, yeah, they're a gorgeous couple. And it's easy to look at people and think like, oh, they have no problems and they're shallow and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, they're actually smart, thoughtful people, hardworking, you know, and they're allowed to call out bullshit and abuse when it happens to them.
Yeah. And her show looks super fun.
And it is super fun.
Tour she's on. It looks super fun.
Yeah, it does look super fun. Like she is fun. She's a really super fun person. Yeah. And just so that's our Nog Creep this week.
Great pick, Margot.
Alex Cooper. That's a great name, Alex Cooper.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that's the show today. But if you are like, oh, but I can listen to you two talk forever. Well, you're in luck because not only do we have a couple of 100 episodes in our, canon there, and we also put out a show called Dorking Out where Sonia and I dork out about movies. Sonia, what are we going to be dorking? First, this week we covered Sinners, which is
so good.
I've seen it now 5 times. I keep watching this movie. I know. I can't stop watching this movie. It's like the best movie. Anyway, what are we going to be dorking out about this week, Sonia?
We are celebrating Pride by talking about Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yay!
I can't wait. I've been meaning to rewatch. So it is streaming on Amazon if you have it.
I think it's also a couple of other places too. I think a couple of places are streaming it as well. But yeah, no, that's out like 30 years ago. That was a while ago.
God, I feel old.
We're old. You're. Well, as I said before, we're always looking for ideas for creeps and also non-creeps. So all those places I mentioned at the top of the show, social media-wise. We love it when you use the Annie Potts gift. We got one, but you could be clever and just find something for yourself. Our email, once again, is whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Blue Sky and Instagram and the TikTok, but I spend most of if you want to interact, mostly in our Facebook group. So please go to there. Where can people find you, my friend?
I'm at brooklynfitchick.com. I'm at brooklynfitchick for Threads and Instagram. I'm at Brooklyn Margot for Blue Sky and TikTok and my YouTube channel. And I was telling Sonia today, I got my book. I got an early version of my book, Fever.
It looks so good, y'all. It looks so good.
If you're looking for Fever, the complete history of Saturday Night Fever, that's coming out at the end of August. I got some fun stuff planned. Sonia and I we might get together for an event, maybe.
That's exciting.
Cross your fingers, everybody. This will make this happen.
I've got a fever.
And it needs more cowbell. All right. In the meantime, everybody, be safe, be kind, have some empathy. Just don't be a creep.
Don't be a creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.